Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm here with Yushi, I'm Johannes, and we're doing our video for Happy Science New York's YouTube channel. And today we'll be talking about the descent of the Japanese father god Ame-No-Mioya-Gami, which is well, I don't want to talk too much, but
Yeah.
let's talk about what this book is about.
Right.
So Yushi, why don't you tell the viewers what this book is about?
Right, so thanks Johannes for being on the channel again.
Thank you.
And I am wearing a Japanese, not a costume, it's called hakama or yukata. It's like a traditional Japanese clothes for men and women. And you got here like a little, what do you call that, like a badge?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, of like Mount Fuji,
It's got a little
sumo wrestler, and then a dragon there.
Mm.
Alright, so the reason why we are dressed up like this is because this Kyoten, Ame-No-Mioya-Gami, is a spiritual interview that Master Okawa conducted. As you all already know, Master Okawa has conducted many, hundreds, even thousands of spiritual messages with different beings for the proof of the spiritual world. And the way he does it is he just channels it, and then he has interviewers in front of him, kind of like this. And let's say that I'm Master, I channel the spirit, and then the interviewer will ask questions to him, and it's recorded like this, live, and then later on it's transcribed into a book like this.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty much like what you just said. It's a transcript from Ame-No-Mioya-Gami, and basically it's pretty much just learning about what he's taught throughout history, and also learning about the history of different gods as well, and how they all kind of either relate to him or just relate to anything at all, or where it originated from or anything like that. So yeah, this book is very enlightening. I feel like it's definitely something that not the average person is just going to be able to take this information in without being mind blown. You know, it's just
right. It will blow your mind,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Who is Ame-No-Mioya-Gami and what did he do?
Alright, so I'm just first of all very surprised of how clear your pronunciation is with this Ame-No-Mioya-Gami.
I definitely practiced.
I can see that. So Ame-No-Mioya-Gami, it's the name of a Japanese deity that doesn't necessarily come out in the two classical Japanese history book or the Japanese Shinto books, which is Kojiki and Nihon Shoki. So it's not written in there, but there's actually many history books or like legend books on like Japanese Shinto legends that was not compiled into those two books, which were officially nominated or used by the government back then in Japan, and is still used now by the Japanese government. So there's always missing pieces of like books on mythology, right? And so this comes out in a book called, his name comes out in a book called Takenochi Monjo, or Hotsuma Tsutae. And so Master Okawa did a spiritual interview by calling upon Ame-No-Mioya-Gami. And he's done it a couple of times, and the very first one that he's done is chapter 1 in this book, which was recorded on October 3rd, 2015. So this was the very first interview with Ame-No-Mioya-Gami. And then in chapter 2, it's actually the second spiritual interview that he's done, which was recorded on July 23rd of 2018. So there was like about a 3 years difference. And then chapter 3 is Master Okawa's lecture on these two spiritual messages. So these are the 3 chapters that's in this book, in this Kyoten. But so who's Ame-No-Mioya-Gami? We found out through the spiritual message that he is the very first god, deity of Japanese Shinto. And as you said, Johannes, this book is gonna blow our minds, right? It really did, because through the spiritual reading, we found out that he is a deity that came to Japan in a spaceship 30,000 years ago on a spaceship from a galaxy called Andromeda, which is like 2 million light years away. So it's a far, far galaxy. And then he descended to Japan on a fleet of UFOs that was shaped like an actual ship. And then he descended, and the purpose of him coming was to start a new civilization originating from Japan. And what's astonishing is that usually what we learn in schools is that the history of Japan is 3,000 years, going back to the 2 books, Kojiki and Nihon Shoki. But this saying that that's only 1/10
Right.
of the length of this Japanese civilization. And some people say that the Egyptian civilization is like 10,000 years old, and that's like one of the oldest civilizations. Of course, there's like Atlantis, Lemuria, and all that, but still, 30,000 years of history is the history of Japan, which is a shocking thing, and there's a lot of good contents that were described in this book. But what did you feel after reading this book about Ame-No-Mioya-Gami, this deity?
Well, it just goes to show that once you think that there's somebody superior, there's always going to be somebody else superior, and it goes beyond that. And I'm sure there's beings that are even more superior than Ame-No-Mioya-Gami, and just to get this type of perception and in the book he kind of even dismisses certain things because to him it's just like a waste of time almost.
Yes.
He's very like frank and blunt, but you can see that he's like very straightforward, and in the book he even says like 100 million years is like last week to him, like it sounds crazy, and like I know even anybody that's watching this video right now is like hearing this and two guys talking about like space beings, but yeah, so from what I got, who Ame-No-Mioya-Gami is basically, he came to this planet, and not only did he come to this planet, but he's gone to other planets during times of crisis. According to him, there was some type of nuclear war happening at the time.
Right,
so,
on Earth, right?
On Earth, yeah. And he pretty much had to come in and restore order basically, and just clean up the house,
Exactly. And just so the viewers don't think we're too crazy, we are sane. And one thing is this nuclear war that occurred tens of thousands of years ago. This is not something that only Happy Science is saying or Master Okawa is revealing to us. It's like an ancient Indian songs and like ancient Indian scriptures or something, right? That talks about this.
Yeah, there's a book that speaks about some type of nuclear war that was happening in the past.
It's good to know that you got that book, because I've never read it before. But what I heard is that the reason why there's like desert areas in some countries, in some places, is because there was a nuclear, like similar to a nuclear war back in the past, which kind of like wiped out the civilizations, and also it'll wipe out the history books too. Exactly. So that's why we don't remember it now. It's like we had to restart from it's like becoming a Neanderthal again, and then start redoing civilization. Right. But before Neanderthals and like before these primitive beings, there was actually a high civilization that kind of like went extinct. So that's, I guess, kind of like the historical concept that not only Happy Science is saying, but these other numerous kinds of books.
What did you like about this Kyoten?
What did I like about this Kyoten? First and foremost, it's not just a history book, but he does talk about important contents like the qualities of a human being, or like teachings of enlightenment, such as how to build a harmonious relationship between men and women, or like the importance of respect and also discipline. Ame-No-Mioya-Gami, how he said he's very straightforward and frank, but what I felt from this spiritual message is he's a deity, he's a god of honesty. And it takes a tremendous amount of courage and strength to always be honest.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Especially the higher position you have. Unfortunately, in the modern day history, the world is kind of getting sick because there's a lot of lies and deceptions that the media uses or politicians use. There's a very few who are straightforward and honest. But what I liked about this Kyoten is he reminded me that's a part of virtue as a human being is being honest. So that was my take.
Okay.
Yourself? What'd you like about this book?
Well, just like the idea of learning where certain things came from. So like his teachings was one of them, like how you said the relationship between the males and females, and he also taught manners, the difference between heaven and earth. He's definitely taught a lot of things that we don't even know where the origins came from. So to me, this is like an alternate history book, basically.
It's true.
Yeah, and it's definitely good to know where things originate from and have like a higher understanding of how things work in the universe as well.
Can I jump on that?
Yeah, go for it.
Because like it's good to know the origin of things.
Right.
What I like about Master Okawa's spiritual messages, including this one and others, is he kind of like reveals these secrets of how these different religions or ethnicities even came about.
Right.
So like by doing so, by learning so much of these different types of knowledge, it's so great because it makes you more of a tolerant person.
Right.
And it allows you to be able, the more tolerant you are, the more accepting you are. And in the modern day, there's a lot of wars. I mean, there's one going on right now, but wars are occurring between different ethnicities, different countries, and some wars are rooted in different religions. But like, you know, learning history like Master Okawa's spiritual message books is good, again, because it leads to tolerance.
Why do you think this book is important?
Well, I guess I already kind of like went ahead with the question. But the building of tolerance,
right.
And as a Japanese national, well, I mean, I'm a Japanese American, but what I liked about this Kyoten is it's so timely when it comes to world affairs or current like modern day affairs when it comes to diplomacy.
Right.
Because we are entering a stage on this planet, it's so hard. The United Nations, unfortunately, is not working. And then like America being the #1 superpower, the only superpower in the world, and creating harmony and by spreading justice, unfortunately doesn't seem like it's working right now these days. And so we need this new world order. I don't want to use it in the bad term, but like a heavenly new order where these different countries can work together by also understanding each other, but also suppressing the evil. And I believe Japan holds, this nation Japan, is a crucial country for the aid of the United States of America. There's a lot of wars that's going in the Middle East where a lot of those countries look up to Japan. There's a huge cultural war and a bio war that's already happened and going on. A huge threat and adversary of the United States is China, CCP. Japan is right next to it. It's like the bottle cap for China to enter into the Pacific. That's a very geopolitically an important nation. Not only that, what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. I'm sure Japan has a very important role in being able to speak out of what the world justice should be, and like even give advice to the United States of America. That's just how it is. Japan is an important nation in geopolitics. And however, the Japanese, unfortunately, have no say in international politics right now because it has been, I can't find the good word for it, but like the backbone was kind of like pulled out ever since they lost World War II. And they're just following whatever the United States says if they think it's merit for them, or they'll just follow China if it thinks it's more merit for them if they follow China. And it's like they don't have a backbone in foreign policies, and they have no sense of justice in a way. But going back to this book, you know, it's really important to love the history of your own country, of how it served great things for the world. By doing so, it gives confidence to those nationals and reason for why that country is important. So this book, even though it's like a spiritual message and it's like a history book also, not just a mythological book, but it really serves as a spiritual guidance of how to solve modern day issues, speaking from the Japanese civilization's standpoint. So I thought that was, you know, one of the reasons why this book is important from, you know, as a Japanese American. But for you, brother, what do you think? Why is this important book?
Pretty much everything you said, but pretty much, you know, we need that remembrance. We just gotta clean things up, man. Everything is a big mess right now on this planet, and I believe things are actually getting cleaned up. But I believe this is a good, I guess like a good, along with the laws of Messiah and many of Master's books, pretty much are good. I guess like either not starting points, but pretty much a layout for politics, for religion, for spirituality. So this is just pretty much another thing that's just adding to the arsenal of stuff that Master's always putting out. You know what I'm saying? So,
arsenals, I like that. Like a weapon of light.
Yeah, exactly. This pretty much is a weapon of light, you know? So learning about, you know, the history of Japan and how much influence it's had throughout other countries, you know, because I didn't know anything about, you know, Japan until I read this book, basically. And you find out so many things that, you know, you were unaware of, where things originated from, or which country has influence and where did it come from. And so I can tell Japan is definitely, like you said, they definitely like kind of lost their backbone, but I know that they're definitely very important as far as, you know, politics and just overall health of this planet in a way.
Definitely. And not just coming from a Japanese standpoint, but also, you know how we're talking about his, he talks about manners and like the importance of discipline and honesty, right? And he also talks about virtue. And you know, Master Okawa has always recently been constantly saying that what we need in politics is virtue. Virtue is like a noblesse oblige. People who are in authority, not being blinded by its power, but using that authority as if it's given from God, and you work on behalf of God. That's virtue, right? And there is no virtue if you lie about the scandals of your son with the Ukrainian government. There is no virtue if you lie about the money that you received from CCP. I'm talking about the current president right now of the United States. But, you know, in a way, this book will help drain the swamp of the nasty politics that's going on. So it's like, how should I say this? I know people get tired of politics, of how dirty it is, but when you read this, it gives you a clear vision, purity, you know? That purity of God's light back into the system of governance. And in a way, it kind of like revives your hope for how to fix this world. So that's another one that I just wanted to throw in there.
Nice. Would you recommend this book and why?
I'd definitely recommend this book. It will really stretch your perspectives on things. And not only the diversity part that we mentioned earlier, but you know how you were saying like it talks about the origin of things, origin of cultures. Not only like not just the Japanese origin, but like the similarity of the origins of different cultures, or like how they were actually linked and connected in the past. Such as Zoroastrianism is a religion that started in the Middle East, which was actually believed by Freddie Mercury. He was a Zoroastrian. But it's a religion that talks about good and evil. And historically, some historians say that that has given a lot of effect to Jesus Christ's teachings, where he talks about justice, what's right and what's wrong. And this Zoroastrianism was actually kind of affected by Ame-No-Mioya-Gami's teachings of righteousness. So you start seeing like all these similarities of these different religions. And let me tell you this, like each and every single person on earth right now needs to be a thinkable man. Meaning not being biased as much as possible. It's hard. We all have a bias.
Of course,
But the more information you have, it'll liberate you from your bias. And this book is a liberation from you being stuck in the shell of your own small world of ego. Or this negative ego that's being fed to you by mistaken media information. So I gotta say, do I recommend this? Yes. Why? For your mental health. For the state of goodness. For you to be happy and pure in this chaotic time and age. So that's just me getting passionate about this book. But yeah, that's for me. I think that's why I recommend it.
Yeah, I also recommend it. Very powerful, by the way. Just
thank you. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I absolutely recommend this, and that's true what you just said, because I was just thinking about that earlier on the way here. The whole idea of like this ego that we have, and people with money, and we, you know, they think they're big, but they have no idea how small they are compared to this vast universe of, oh man, the different dimensional beings and just different, there's so much going on that, you know, people with money, like that's all they have, you know, like, and unfortunately, like they need to gain more spirituality and get more in touch with the spirit world, and not to say all rich people are like that. There's obviously good rich people out there and stuff like that, but it definitely humbles you knowing that, you know, that there's just so much more out there, and you really have no idea what's going on or what's out there at this point.
You know, I'm grateful for you to bring that up, to mention this humility as an important aspect of humanity right now, because Master Okawa did another spiritual message of Shakyamuni Buddha a couple years ago, right? When the pandemic started. And he asked Shakyamuni Buddha about this pandemic. And then like, what's your worldview? And just imagine being able to ask Buddha, and there's also one for Jesus too, from Jesus. But just imagine being able to ask these amazing historical figures about what the current affairs. And Master Okawa's spiritual message allows that to happen. But Buddha said, I don't know how many, 7.6 billion now? The 7 point whatever billion people on Earth, all are now arrogant. That's why this world is like just spinning in the wrong direction. So the way you said how by learning this, like, you know, how big this universe is, he takes you to the Andromeda Galaxy. And he even talks about there's different messiahs and different planets and stuff, right? It's mind-blowing, and it makes us sincerely, if you don't read this just as a hobby, if you take it in as like with a little aspect, a little seed of faith, it will humble you.
And last but not least, a message for our viewers on the upcoming movie, The Cherry Bushido, which is set to release out here in New York this weekend.
Yeah, so quick message. This movie, it's about the bushido spirit. It's a spirit of living one day as your one lifetime. Not regretting every single day. Don't waste a minute, a second that God has given you. And what do you use it for? It's for the righteousness. We don't live just to survive. We shouldn't live just for pleasure, but we should live for what's right. And sometimes in our lives, when we stick to the principle of living for something that's right, it will clash with our own benefits, or maybe even your family's benefits. But sometimes these like historical figures that created this beautiful planet Earth, this civilization for us, these people have lived for something more than their survival. And this movie will teach us how beautiful it is to live in that spirit. And it all comes from Ame-No-Mioya-Gami. He was the founder of Bushido spirit. So you'll feel, I believe, how good religion and spirituality can make you in this times of, again, lies and deceptions and people living for insignificant, short-living pleasures, but not living for something more eternal, like Jesus said. Jesus said that he is here to give us an eternal life. Buddha said he will teach us nirvana and emancipation from the world of sufferings. But this movie will definitely, I believe, give you a hint and a glimpse of that beauty of living under those commandments.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see this movie. The trailer looks awesome. It looks amazing. I'm sure it's definitely gonna enlighten a lot of people. It's gonna pretty much kind of teach us about the whole, you know, Bushido samurai spirit, basically, of self-sacrifice, you know, for the purpose of the greater good. You know, it's not like you're a kamikaze and you're gonna go just do it for Japan. No, it's like more like, you know, you wanna self-sacrifice in a way where it's like, you know, that this is for the betterment of this planet, for humanity, for whatever purpose it intends to be. And there's just definitely, I feel like a lot that's gonna be learned from this movie. And pretty much people can apply this once they learn it. And, you know, we can definitely see like a more positive future. And yeah, I'm just really stoked for this movie to come out.
Nice.
I can't wait, man. I really can't. It looks so great.
No, it's that is a beautiful closing line, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just come on, listeners, please. Just imagine everyone is a good man like him in this world. This world will instantly become a better place. So thank you, Johannes, for coming on this channel again. And everyone, please, I really recommend you buying this Kyoten, this book. You can get it on Amazon or at your local temples. And the movie information, just go to Cherry Bushido, search it up. There will be a website, and you'll be able to see which AMC theaters will be playing in in the US. And there's also a cinema in Canada too, which will be showing it. So please look us up, and hope to I hope you enjoyed this book and the movie. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you.